Hi there, welcome. I'm Kaiser Johnson with Liberty and Finance and Miles Franklin Precious Metals. Right now, it is Thursday, February 5th, 2026, and it's around noon Central Time. So glad to have folks here. Looks like we actually we're waiting for more people to log in. We had an issue with the last stream that we were on, and so switching over to this one, there was a glitch with YouTube. So now we've got this one going, and glad to have you here. So if you have questions about uh, silver, gold, what's going on in the markets, if you have questions about what it looks like on the ground from a broker perspective, what we're seeing as far as the buying and selling of retail silver, things of that nature, please feel free to drop your questions in the comments, and we looking at those and all those sorts of questions about what it looks like from there. We have the expert guests on all the time who talk about market analysis from a broader perspective, global economics, all those kind of things. Here, my area of expertise tends to be more towards what we're really seeing in the day to day, and questions people have about reporting, about IRAs, about junk silver, about what does it look like to do a buyback right now? What does it look like to do a swap right now? And that kind of thing. So those are any questions of that kind of a nature are really good and helpful to everyone who is either watching now or watches somewhere down the line in regards to what the actual process of buying and selling precious metals is looking like right now. Um, I see Chris. Welcome, Chris. Says silver to gold ratio 8 to 1, secret window, top right of debt clock. Um, I'll have to go look at that one. Uh, so, yeah, right now we're looking at a obviously just spot prices and stuff. We're looking at a much broader ratio at the moment, but I'll have to look at the debt clock one to see what you mean there. Right now it's still 34 here off of and gold is at 48.76. So, you're talking about about a 60 to 1 ratio on that. But uh, yeah, if you can find a way to get 8 to 1, that's a good, that's pretty good. Gold clock. I'm just gonna look that up. It's, the US debt clock, I mean, excuse me. US debt clock and real time. Open the secret window. I see, okay. The canary in the red vault. Oh, I see. You can okay, it's a free book download. Whoops, I guess I just downloaded it. I thought I was exiting. Oh, well, there we go. It'll be interesting to see. So, all right, let's see. Only Darshan asks, they say the next support now is $55. Your thoughts? We certainly saw silver play around a lot near there for a while before we saw it go on the of from mid 50s, the 60s, and that had been its high before. So a lot of people look at that as like that's a comfortable place for fall back to. And it may happen or it may not. There are technical analysts who would absolutely swear by that, who go, that's the support, and there's new resistance points here. We've fallen back into the mid 70s, where that's a place that silver, bounced around for about a week, 2 weeks. This what 2 months ago now, or no, it was late December. So it's another place where I wouldn't be surprised if it stayed in there for a while. One thing uh, that you might already know about me, and I'm on here when I talk about this, or if you've ever called us and spoken to me, uh, I tend to avoid speculation. I like to just go and look and go, okay, what is the market doing right now, and what should I do with that in mind? And so that's something that I look at. So for instance, a couple weeks ago, when silver was over, it was 110, 115. my wife and I looked at selling some of our holdings, and, we talked about it and we thought, we're still bullish overall on silver in the long term, and we don't have any need for cash immediately and that sort of thing. So we just decided to keep now silver's dropped back, but, one thing I guess I try never to do is to, uh, let myself be emotionally impacted by, unrealized gains or losses. So this is, my I we still have this exact same amount of ounces of silver, uh, and actually now we bought more, as it's, dropped back, and that's, again, part of one of those things that I've again, gonna follow with that idea of, let me just look at what is going on right now and make my decisions about my life and my finances based off of that. So that's, yeah, whether the next support is 55, if it is at 55, boy, I'll be buying more for sure. If we drop all the way back to 55, great. What a discount. So, right now we're in the, mid-70s. I think that's a good place, to buy at. And right now we've started to see, so, a couple weeks ago when everybody went nine, we had, we had this huge shift in, we were not selling a lot when, uh even as silver spot has increased, we've still had probably 70% uh, purchasers and maybe 30% sellers, as we've gone from mid-70s, 80s, 90s, and then hundreds. Once we crossed, like 105, we saw a big shift where most of the calls that we were getting, a big majority of them, I would say 80, 90%, were people wanting to do buybacks to sell. And so we, uh, as I mean, all the bullion, um, bullion exchanges and all the dealers out there were getting flooded with silver product. And so, if you either sold or didn't sell during, 2 weeks ago here when silver was up at, 105, 110, 115, you probably saw, if you call back multiple times, you probably saw that silver premiums, the price you were getting to do a buyback, rapidly decreased, because we were just getting flooded with, product and don't have, even right now, even during this big pullback, we still, and largely for the last couple of years, have seen a ton of retail demand, and so we've got a lot of supply and a low amount of demand. That's started to normalize a little bit now. Buyback premiums are coming back up, and as you know, we've seen this, decrease in spot price, but it's a very volatile market. I mean, even, we had that a $40 drop on, what was it? Sunday to Monday, and then and then just, yesterday we had a $15 drop at one point and then bounced back up, and so, it's very volatile, and so dealers are having to do a lot more than just hedging and shorting to protect, their investments and their, look, you're not seeing a collapse of retail premiums to purchase, and like I said, now we're starting to see a little bit more coming up on the buyback, where the buyback premiums are getting a little bit better, but, there was a point, when we were at 90 and $100, for a spot price that, you're paying 11, 12 bucks, $13 spot to get Eagle, Silver Eagle, but you're selling, uh Silver Eagles, you're getting $5 below spot, so there's big, spread there between the buyback and the sale price, and a lot of that just had to do with, we could lock in hedge and order, but if the spot price is gonna drop by, some huge margin, it's tough to account for that, even with hedging and that sort of thing. So, that was a big, long, kinda jumping onto tangents from that question, but there we go. Spot 99, Eagles going for 107, spot 77, Eagles going for 97. No, I think yeah, good question. Uh, there, when we had spot price at in the hundreds. I think we were at 11.50 over spot or something like that for Eagles right now. Uh, this morning we are at 13.50 over spot per ounce. So the premium has gone up, but even though the spot prices has come down a lot, so as a function of the overall cost of the coin, the premium is a larger part of it. It's still not crazy. I mean, you might remember in the spring of 2023, the spot price was like $22 and it would cost you 40 bucks to get an eagle. It was $16 premiums on that. That's, an 80-90% premium. Here with spot at 76 and doing this if my math is right, it's about a 15-16% premium. Um, 18 maybe. So, much better premium relative to the overall cost of the coin. It's as great as paying a 10% premium when silver's at 100, but, your cost of the coin is significantly better. So right now, spots at 76, you'd be at 89 bucks to get an eagle. So, um, at this moment, but obviously spots changing all the time. Let's see, new reporting requirements. Yes. So, actually, no. So, um a lot of people have been asking about this idea of new reporting requirements starting February 15th. Oh, there's a $3,000 threshold. If you purchase over 3,000 bucks, you're going to be reported to the government. They're going to know all these different things. Nothing is changing about that. The There's a couple things. The first one is almost everybody seems to be getting this from, and, we frequently on this channel, we wanna equip you with the ideas of how do you sorta sort through, what's good information, what's bad information, what's a good kind of dealer to work with, what's a bad kind of dealer to work with, when you're coming to IRAs, what kind of things should you buy, versus not buy, rather than going, "Okay, don't work with these companies and don't do this." So I will go into that a little bit with kind of vetting that information. A friend of the show, David Morgan, who everybody knows, uh, wrote a really good blog post on vetting these like silver scare kind of videos. But one thing that I think we should be really clear on is if you are getting information from the multiple channels that feature the videos that anybody who's into precious metals is getting flooded with right now, these Asian guy videos, um, and that's not me categorizing that, that's what this AI character introduces itself as, uh, Asian guy, and they're on about I mean, I've seen at least 3, 4 channels that post those videos exclusively. So what's happening is YouTube is whoever's making these particular Asian guy AI videos is gaming the algorithm pretty well. They're posting on multiple different channels. They're all getting pushed out, so it looks like the Asian guy is everywhere, and there's all these, info, all it's still up to date. It's happening there's 2, 3 videos being posted a day, and it's the newest stuff. It's all AI. Um, there are grains of truth sprinkled within there, but almost but all the important stuff that we've seen come out of these videos has been misinformation. Um, you know, maybe there are things that, like I said, that are valuable or that kind of thing, but to wade through so much misinformation and so much silver scare, type stuff, I think it's worth reporting those videos as misinformation and blocking those channels anytime you see one of them come up. And anytime YouTube suggests you one of those videos, I think um, your your ability to, sift through real legitimate news is gonna be much, stronger because of it, and trust the sources that whether it's us or, any of the other, great, precious metals channels out there. Those, you're not by subscribing to it or watching this most recent AI generated suggested video from Asian guy, you're not getting some kind of secret information that places like Silverstack or Silver Slayer or us or Arcadia Economics or any of the number of great channels that are out there. Um, you're not getting new information that they don't that they're not people who are looking at legitimate sources and that kind of thing. So, for instance, um, you know, the Asian guy AI was talking about, uh, I hesitate to use any real words, that indicate any sort of humanity there because there's not. So talking about is the wrong thing. What the one of the talking points that was brought up by this AI generated video was this, HR House Resolution Bill, 17, and, it's Section 7. You look there's no Section 7 in that bill. It doesn't exist. So, the idea that we can rely on this thing and a couple weeks ago when we were getting all these calls about, some other thing that the Asian guy was saying, and then, a couple weeks before that, it was another thing, there's a lot of these kinda silver scare things being, put in there. One thing that is true about February 15th, but has been true for years, that's, bullion dealers a deadline to file, Form 1099-B. Form 1099-B is not a one that, is generated by a purchase. You can purchase silver or gold, any precious metal in any amount, and it will never generate a Form 1099-B. Form 1099-B is an income form that is generated when, you sell us certain amounts of silver. Um, if you wanna know what the reporting guidelines are currently, uh, you can see those. We have them in our Golden Guide. You can, send us an email at libertyandfinance@protonmail.com. That's libertyandfinance@protonmail.com. I'll drop it in the chat here. But that'll tell you, we can send you our golden guide, IRS, reporting guidelines in there, the things that do generate a 1099-B. But it's a pretty limited list. 1,000 ounces of bullion or more, silver bullion in a single related transaction. So you can sell 1,000, you know 10,000 eagles, 10,000 maples, $10,000 face value. So right now, according to the IRS reporting guidelines, none of those are reportable transactions. Now, it doesn't mean that the IRS doesn't expect that you will self-report and, I sold this and I made this capital gain, etcetera. But we're not required to file Form 1099-B. Um, gold, there's a few more things, it's 32.15 a kilo or more of bullion, bars or rounds, that kind of thing. Or I think it's 25 or more maples, 25 or more, and those are reportable transactions. But uh, again, that's you know only if you're selling. There's no change for the we've heard from any source on purchases and the source that this video that is giving everyone fingers in a twist about it. The source that it's excuse me, the source that it is citing doesn't exist. The bill exists, but the section doesn't exist in there. I looked it up this morning on Congress.gov. So, anyway, um, that's that specifically, and like I said, we rarely talk about, you know, name names when it comes to specifics and stuff like that. If you see but I'm willing to go out there and say the amount of, uh, misinformation and, uh silver scare type stuff that shows up in these Asian guy videos, whatever channel they come from, because again, it's posting across lots of channels so that your feed gets bombarded by it. It's gaming the YouTube algorithm to show you more of its content. Um, this is not a good robot. Report misinformation. Unsubscribe if you're subscribed to any of those channels. Block the channels. Just do your part to stop this misinformation, from showing up. So there's my soapbox on that. And then more generally, I had this pulled up here. There's again, friend of the channel, David Morgan, had a really good Now, so to step away from naming names to more looking at the perspective of how can you tell what is a real thing to be focused on or not? He has this great blog post on LinkedIn. I'll quote a couple things from it, basic points, but he says, how to audit. This is posted about a month ago here, a month ago, December 20th, 2025. But if you search how to audit breaking silver crisis, you know what? I'll also just drop this link in the chat. How to audit breaking silver crisis videos in under 2 minutes. Um, so he says, first thing you do, submit it to the rule book test. If the claim a hit next rule or CME rule just triggered, go directly to the official rule book from the CME group and search for the exact rule number being what you're checking is, does the rule actually exist? And does it do with the video claims? If the rule exists, but it covers disciplinary procedures, reporting requirements, or block trades, not margin or liquidation, that's done. Claim is there. Uh, so those are, and you can see that, and you can read that, and you can see for yourself. Again, I'll drop it right now in the chat so you can see that. Um, and so this is the blog post from David Morgan, which I thought was really incisive, really to the point on how to vet these videos. The inventory test says the claim registered silver just collapsed to X million ounces. What to do? The daily COMEX silver stocks report published by CME Group, which you're checking total registered for the state of date. The number of the video, the official report, either cherry picked or fabricated. COMEX inventory data is dull and precise, which makes it very hard to fake if you actually look at it. Number 3, the emergency order test. Claim. The CFTC issued an emergency filing order yesterday. What to do? Check the website of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission under press releases, orders, staff letters, and notices. Can you find the filing immediately by number or headline? If you can't locate it within seconds, it almost certainly doesn't exist as described. Regulators do not whisper during emergencies, they publish. Number 4, the math. Claim. Banks must post hundreds of billions in cash within 72 hours. And it says, ask one question. Has anything remotely like this ever happened in listed futures markets without exchange halts, emergency regulator statements, or global financial headlines? If it implies instant systemic collapse with no visible institutional response, you're not looking at market mechanics, you're looking at um, he's got a couple of other things on there. But another one, he's got 3, 4 more there, and then a link to the Morgan report, which is a great source of real, legitimate, vetted news. Um, Another one that we're seeing is like this, where a bill is cited, something of that nature, and either the section doesn't exist in the bill that's there, or if that section, it doesn't say what it's to do, or it's related not even related to precious metals, and you can find out every single bill, every House resolution, every whatever you want on Congress.gov. You can find these, you can look at them, and you can see them. There it's all public data, and if you're getting it from that channel, from Asian Guy channel, that's not a I mean, there are much cleaner, better, not in misinformation laden sources to get it from. Channels you have known and trust for years instead of this AI robot channel that channels, again, it's being spammed everywhere, that cropped up 6 months ago. Anyway, all right, that was a long thing on that of both how to deal with specifically the Asian Guy channel, and then also how to look at any kind of silver scare video, any of those kind of things, in general, and how to vet that and, audit it for, reality. Let's see. What's the level of demand? Asked Kentucky Cowboy. Are Miles Franklin orders for those sell or buying? Are you guys working 6 to 7 days a week? We're working, 6 to 7-day weeks, right now. Uh, the A lot of it is, um, sales and swaps, at this point. Um, but again, we've just seen silver drop back to, mid-70s, which, we were that's a $40 drop. That's, pretty good place to that you could look at, just doing a straight purchase again, at this point. We good opportunity to buy on a dip as as a lot of people wanna do. And it's not to say it can't dip further down, but, worth recognizing and knowing about. So the again, for the last 2 years or so, the purchase demand of people buying from, uh, us has been, uh, lower, lower than I would say we've seen for the rest from, you know, 2020 when COVID started through, at least mid to late 2023, where we saw, we obviously saw a huge surge in demand during all the bank collapses in the beginning of 2023. Um, but even kinda taking that ano anomaly out of there, I would say we've had certainly suppressed retail demand, um, for the last 2 years, compared to just, prior to that. So, thanks for joining us from Kentucky, from, Canada, I see, and, other places here, Lakeland, Florida. Welcome, welcome. If we dropped to $20, would I be surprised? I would be surprised if we dropped it back to $20. I think, we've talked for a long time about and us and every other, precious metal channel out there has talked about, the idea that it doesn't make a lot of sense from any kind of, institutional and macro standpoint that silver was sitting around, you know, 40 to 20% of its all-time high, for, the better part of 4 decades after it had reached 55, in the mid-80s, because, we're using from an industrial perspective, we're using, uh, you know, many multiple times more silver now than we have at any point in human history, because of, with this industrial use, and you see, um, you know, places private companies buying up silver mines and, partnering with, um, and again, they're gonna work probably the better part of a decade to get the silver mines up and operational, but wanting a source of silver, we see, things that Andy talks about on the market updates of, um, you know, unrefined silver, doré bars and stuff being sold, to China and, to India and, places like that, and so the idea and again, the spot price is tends to be driven much more by financial institution moves, of what large banks are doing or shorting or going long on, with their investments that they're doing, where they're they're buying and selling futures on such large scale that that's what pushes, the market, the spot price one way or the other. But, it certainly seems that with the actual physical and industrial demand for real silver, that, it would become more it could continue to become more and more difficult for, uh it to be manipulated all the way down to, back into the 20s or something like that. So I think that's I guess my perspective on it. Worth asking Andy when he comes, back on, and any of our various like market analyst guests. Those are good questions for them too. But that's my perspective, is that I think it has become I think it would be very difficult to keep the price suppressed down to, $20 an ounce now, with, the reality being, even no matter what, I think again, we'll still see the spot price largely in great part affected by what JP Morgan is doing, what Deutsche Bank is doing, and, all these, the big large banks. But I think as that separates from the reality on the ground of what's actually going on with physical silver, I think that's something that is going to continue to change. And so I think I would be surprised if we saw silver return to $20 an ounce right now, with the, current state of the U.S. Federal Reserve note. Um, If things are revalued or were, reset to something else, obviously that's a different question. So, uh, why do dealers only use spot for buyback, not for selling? Low blood pressure. Can you help me understand that question more? We use spot for buyback and for selling. So, your premiums generally you see on when we sell to clients, there is a premium over spot, and when we buy back, there's a premium relative to spot. Sometimes it's over spot, sometimes it's under spot. Right now, because of how much selling is going on and how little buying is going on, the when we are doing buybacks, most of our premiums are under spot. But there are certainly times when there's far more purchase demand, and then we have we so for instance, again, like 3 years ago when it was, March of 2023, April of 2023, May of 2023, it got to the point where there was this huge demand for people wanting to buy silver eagles. Again, spot was in the 20s, and we were selling eagles at $16 over spot. We were buying them at 12.50 over spot. So because we knew we had lots of people who wanted them, and we didn't have the inventory. We were 3 months out on getting them, from the mint. We had sold all of our orders coming in from the mint, and that were 3 months in advance. And so our bid was over spot to get eagles, and really far over spot, 60-70% over spot to get silver eagles. So yeah, we use spot both for the buyback and for selling. The other one thing I might mention on that, and that Elijah, my brother, was talking about is um, something we've talked to our clients about a lot over the last couple of years when premiums have been close between, say, silver eagles and other silver coins, and even close in terms of like the cost between that or silver bullion. You're we've said with varying success, look, go with the eagle, because that's going to be your most negotiable uh, coin in the future in North America. So one thing we've been seeing, we saw here in this big flood of people seeking to sell and to do silver buybacks, was our bullion exchanges quickly got overloaded on things like 10-ounce bars, and they said, look, we can't sell any more 10-ounce bars right now, so we're not buying the 10-ounce bars at this point. And even 1-ounce rounds that are assorted rounds in varied condition, stuff like that. They're going, no one's buying those, so we can't buy them. And so the bids collapsed on those, where it was, oh, it's $2 under spot for a 10-ounce bar, and then suddenly it's $8 under spot for a 10-ounce bar, and then it's $12 under spot for a 10-ounce bar, and then it's like, we don't want any more 10-ounce bars, thank you. So the one thing that's good to keep in mind is when premiums are even relatively close on eagles to anything else, or top quality name brand things, even like maples, like those are a good secondary bet if you can't stomach the idea of paying 11.50 over spot, but you can stomach the idea of paying $9 over spot. um Maples are good too, but to when you see the premiums move close between eagles and anything else, that's a great time to swap into eagles, because that's something that's just a much more negotiable thing, and that's something for like the last, ever since we started sort of came down from that big high, in late 2023, when we started cooling from the eagles are 15.50 over spot, and kilo bars are $2.30 over spot. Um, I've been I started swapping every kind of bullion I had into silver eagles, and I was encouraging clients to do that too. Um, or if we had clients who were just looking to purchase, and they said, "Well, what should I get? I'm thinking to get 10-ounce bars, kilo bars, that kind of thing." And I would go, "Look, it's $1.50 more for an eagle than a kilo bar. Um, get the eagle." So, um, you know, that's, because like I said, last year and a half, it's been very close premiums. I mean, I think at the best we had Eagles down at like 399 or 375 over spot, and like Comex bars, 1,000 ounce bars, uh, were $1.89 over spot. So it's like, get the eagle. Anyway, that's one thing to note. And then another thing that Dunnigan was mentioned that I should mention is the importance of having, because of how many buybacks we're having. And again, anytime that like there's going to be a really favorable swap window, if you see that gold silver ratio improve, you're not going to be the only person who notices that. If you see that silver is over $100, you're not going to be the only person who notices that. So the value of having things either in your personal possession or in a bullion exchange that is co-located, or excuse me, or in a depository that is co-located with um, a bullion exchange like Dakota Depository is, which is one of the main bullion exchanges that we work with, and there's a depository next door to them. Um, it makes it much easier to do transactions when you can tell your account at Dakota Depository, hey, send it down the hall, or you can have us send you prepaid FedEx labels and you can ship it, rather than going, hey, I want to have Delaware Depository ship it across the country, and or any one of these other ones that is not right, next to a bullion exchange. Uh, you're going to run into this thing of they're going to get to it when they get to it. We saw ones where eventually they are the bullion exchanges that we work with were saying, hey, it's got to be delivered to us, and it's got to happen within this amount of time, because we can't just carry this open trade for a long time. So certain other places that people were storing them, it was getting they were getting cut off and said, look, if you can get it into your personal possession first, then you can sell it to us. But we can't just be wondering and waiting when it's going to show up. So those are other things worth mentioning about kind of positioning yourself so that if you want to take advantage of a swap opportunity, or you want to take advantage of a buyback or that kind of thing, it's nice to have it in a place, again, whether that's your personal possession or whether that's at somewhere like Dakota Depository that's co-located with a bullion exchange, somewhere that you can just execute that transaction and not worry about, oh, is it going to take weeks for you know XYZ company to swap it over. So um, let's see. Am I concerned with total freeze in the market, buy, sell, or even confiscation? Um, I still remain unconcerned about confiscation overall. I am not I'm not concerned about a total freeze in the market either way. If it's not like, the nickel market a few years ago where where there's a 800% increase in price in an hour, and they go, okay, hold on, we got to do that. And I don't expect that we'll see something like that. So that's yeah, I'm not, me personally, I'm not concerned about that. There may be people who are. I'm sure there are. I'm not one of them. Do you recommend stacking in an IRA? I can't give financial recommendations or financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I think if you have an IRA, um, it's nice to have it in a tangible asset. So there you go. If you want more information about IRAs, email us at libertyandfinance@protonmail.com, and we can send you some more information about um, IRAs and how to get a precious metal IRA and how to get it set up. When you have a precious metal IRA, there's one company that's the custodian. They help you do all the right things by the IRS guidelines and so forth, so that you're following all the rules on this government subsidized account. There's also um, the dealer, the brokers, and then there's a depository. Those are the three companies involved. They all have to be separate companies. The depository uh, that actually stores your physical metals, because you can't have them for personal delivery. Obviously, you can't have them in your personal possession until you actually take them as a distribution. So factors worth knowing, but we have a whole IRA guide we can send over to you and help you get that sorted out. So again, you can write to us at proton liberty and finance at protonmail.com, and we can send you um, our information on that. MH53E says, "Are my audios garbled? Connection issue layer 4 UDP." Um, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know what's happening there. Low blood pressure says AI Asian guy is great. Okay, I just know that out of the last couple of months, every single time we've gotten multiple people, dozens of people calling us asking questions about something that is clear misinformation, it's always come from Asian guy. It hasn't been any other sources. So take that for what you will. If you find lots of valuable content in there, wonderful. Um, Thank you, the dad Dan. Call Kaiser and he calls you right back. Thank you. Um, let's see. Everything's in there today. She sold the kilo kookaburra. Gotcha. What about 1 ounce silver buffalo? So silver buffalo are not even though gold buffalo are minted by the United States Mint. Silver buffalo can be minted by any private mint in the U.S. And so they're if they're new and they're in tubes, they still have a decent buyback. But we saw uh, that most of those you get secondary market, and so they don't have nearly the ability to hold their premium in in a market like what we've seen here. That things like even again Canadian maples or kangaroos or any of these places, any of these the sovereign coins are holding their premiums. So um, let's see. Um, Well, sorry for the audio issues here. Hope we're coming back up. And I spent almost an hour here, so I'll wrap it up here unless we have any immediate uh, pressing questions there. Um, let's see. Uh, All right. Thank you, Kentucky Cowboy, for filling in some gaps on the info there. And like I said, anyone who wants more information on precious metal IRAs, you're welcome to send us an email at libertyandfinance at protonmail.com. We can send you a video we made about IRAs and a quick IRA guide so you can figure out if that's something that's going to be a good fit for you. All right. Glad the audio is back up just in time for me to say thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. Again, I'm Kaiser Johnson with Liberty and Finance and Miles Franklin Precious Metals. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. So thanks again for being here, and we'll see you all next time. Thanks.